This is my tunnel journal page, and what I was inspired by was my amethyst crystals, part of a geode. You can just barely see the outside of the rock here, sort of greenish. Inside is a finer crystal layer, and then on the inside of the geode was my amethyst, the larger amethyst crystals. So what I did first was rip out the holes, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then I completed each layer separately. On the first page, I sketched the outside of the rock, and I painted it using granulating watercolors. These are from Daniel Smith, and this color I used was Jadeite Genuine, which is a Primatech color, which means that it is made with actual crushed minerals, and when you paint with them it leaves a wonderful granulating effect. On the second page, which is the crystalline inner layer of the geode, I used matte medium to glue down some pieces of mica. So mica is a mineral, it's an actual rock that you can buy, and it flakes off into these very thin crystal layers, and I just attached them into the book with some matte medium. Mica is actually what, when you get sparkly eyeshadow or body powder, mica is used in a lot of different things to give that little sparkly look. And then for the third layer, I sketched the purple crystals, and I added just a little bit of Stickles glitter to my amethyst crystals. So that is the 3 layers of my geode: the outside rock with granulating watercolor, the inner layer using real mica rock, very thin layers glued down with matte medium, and just sketching the amethyst crystals but adding a little sparkle to them. When you make a tunnel journal page, the first thing you want to think about is the shape. What shape do you want your tunnel? So in your journal, take a pencil and lightly sketch the shape that you want. Since I was doing a geode, I just did a large rock shape, like so. You can make it any shape that you would like. Then I sort of folded the paper a little bit and took my scissors, made a little slit like that. Now if you want smooth edges, you can cut out your shape. By sticking your scissors through the slot. Using a smaller pair of scissors might work if you have a smaller shape. But I wanted sort of a natural rough edge. So what I did was I put my finger into the slot and just tore around the shape. If you keep your thumb next to the line, you can pretty much stay on the line. Your thumb prevents it from ripping further in. So I went all around my shape. Tearing it out like so. I just get the corner here. So there is my rock shape, like in my journal. Now what I did next was take my pencil and lightly trace this open shape. So when I turn the page, I'll know the exact size of the first shape that I've already done. I wanted to leave this nice little border here, so I wanted this much space left for my second tunnel page. Doing the same thing, folding the page a little bit, making a little slit in the middle. Making the slit larger so I can get my fingers in there. And then tearing it, but leaving a border. So now I'm holding my thumb inside the line, about 1 thumb's width. Going around and tearing this out. So now I have my first page and my second page. Now I'm going to take my pencil again and trace this shape. You can make as many layers as you want to, depending on how large your paper is. And there you have it. First layer, second layer, third layer. One thing to be mindful of is when you're journaling on the backs of these is what's in the shape on this side. Do you want something special peeking through there, or you just don't care what it's going to look like? When I was working on my journal and I flipped the page, I noticed that the face of my Celtic tree, which is not done yet, but I'm still working on it, is going to peek through the tunnel on that side. And I kind of like that. So you can purposely plan what you're going to be able to see through the tunnel, or you just might have a peep to your page that you did before. Now, when I was journaling around these torn holes, I really didn't think ahead of time of, like, is it going to match my theme with the rock, or did it matter what was going to be seen through the hole? I just journaled whatever I was on my mind that I was journaling that day. And that one was on Christmas, so that didn't bother me. And to finish off this journal page, I added one last embellishment. I made a little gnome. And what inspired me to draw the gnome was a page from Watercolor Fairies, a step-by-step guide to creating the fairy world by David Richey and Anna Franklin. This is the little gnome that inspired me to draw my gnome, because he looked like a minor gnome. So I added the minor gnome to my page with his pickaxe and the geode. I wanted it to have sort of an old-fashioned sepia look to it, so instead of using black ink to sketch it, I used these micron pens that had a sepia tone to them. And to do the watercolors, I used these Ranger Distress markers. They're water-soluble. And these are the colors I used: Antique Linen, Seedless Preserves, Stormy Sky, Vintage Photo, Forest Moss, and Fired Brick. To make the picture look a little older, I started off with some of the lighter brown tones. This is the Antique Linen. These pens have a brush tip and a fine tip at the other end. So I took the marker, lay down some color, lighted color. I don't color in the solid shape. So if the shape was, for instance, like this, I would not color the whole shape in with the marker. I would just do a little around the edges like this, because I'm going to use the water to move the pigment around. It's kind of boring if you color it in like you're coloring in a coloring book. And then I used the darker color, put a little around the edge. Not a lot, just a little. You want to give it that antique look. And then for the cap, I used the red, and I added the red right on top of the brown. This is going to make it look old and antique-y, or earthy. I took my water brush and blended the colors. Gives you a really nice, smooth, blended look. You always want areas that are lighter and darker. So when you start off, you don't want to put the color everywhere. And I like how that looks. Let it dry a little bit. If you want to put more layers on top, you can do that. And so that's how I finished off my page. You can see the brown underneath and the colors on top, the red, the purple, the green on the tunic, a little bit of the blue there. I added a little bit of journaling. Gnomes are the protectors of minerals, rocks, the soil, and all of the plants that grow in it. They are the earth fairies, whose name means earth dweller. And that's what I got from the book, the fairy book. And that's my tunnel page. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.